Welcome back to the channel, folks, where in today's episode we take a look at that controversial invasive alien Himalayan Balsam or Impatiens glandulifera. In this episode we aim to look at the features and characteristics which will enable us to identify it and understand it. We will touch on the nature of its habitat and seed dispersal, which accounts for its reputation as a prolific invasive. We will also reflect on the reasons why it needs controlled and indeed how, in terms of practical implementation, it is controlled. The accepted conservation intervention is simply to uproot these shallow-rooted plants, which are annuals, before they set seed. Therefore, the timing of the balsam pulling is critical to remove or prevent seeds from entering into the environment. The flower of Himalayan balsam come in a range of colour forms, and there are approximately 5 to 10 flowers on the terminal stem, measuring approximately 24 to 40 millimeters. The flower of Himalayan balsam is zygomorphic, meaning it is bilaterally symmetrical, as opposed to actinomorphic, which is radially symmetrical, as in the Asteraceae. Where we see zygomorphic flowers, it is usually indicative of a specific pollinator relationship with the flower, as in this case with bees and the balsam. The flower of balsam has 5 petals, 2 joined at the side and 1 upper broad petal of 10 to 25 millimeters. The petals form a large hood which is amply bee-sized and to which there are 5 mostly joined stamens on the upper surface of the petal, which brush the bee with pollen as it enters into the large chamber. The incentive for entering the chamber is of course nectar, and the nectar is secreted into the chamber from the long pointed nectar tube which is visible in the shots that follow. The stamens shed their pollen before the stigmas become receptive. Balsam has 1 stigma which is 5-toothed and 1 ovary which is 5-celled. Himalayan or Indian balsam has a long flowering period between June to October. So, whilst we're here, let's take a look at this plant's fruit and seed dispersal, which is the basis of its success. The plant forms a tapered fruit of 15 to 30 millimeters in length, which bursts open with elastic force in dry weather, scattering the seed up to 7 meters downstream into the riparian watercourse, where they will be dispersed prolifically downstream. Here we can see the coil fruits and the elastic energy catapulting seeds out into the environment, causing them to disperse with such efficiency. In early season, around April, the first thing to emerge and be noticed from the soil are 2 cotyledons, which blanket out the soil beneath it. Shortly afterwards, the paired leaves proper alternate in opposite pairs up the stem at 90 degrees to each other. The venation of the leaf may be best described as arcuate, and it often has a pink tinged midrib. The leaves themselves may be best described as paired up to 60 to 150 millimeters in length and are space-shaped or elliptical and pointed at the end with sharp teeth. The stem of balsam is upright, smooth, stout, fleshy and often red to bright red. The stem itself is hollow and divided into sections, as we can see as we peer down the centre. The outer surface of the stem is angular, and in cross-section it is usually polygonal or hexagonal. The root of balsam is a thick vertical main root which roots or takes shallowly into the soil. It is therefore not the best choice for soil or bank stability. It is therefore important when uprooting balsam to ensure that the stem is broken at all the nodes, particularly the last one, to prevent it from re-rooting and re-establishing. As always, we include a detailed slide for those of you who may wish to look at the botany in more detail, and it can be stopped at any point to view the information. Turning now to the naming of the plant and its common vernacular names. It is most commonly known after the region in the Himalayas as Indian Balsam or policeman's helmet, and is also known as kiss me on the mountain, poor man's orchid or ornamental jewelweed. The origins of policeman's helmet can be seen when the plant is turned upside down and compared with an old-fashioned policeman's helmet. Turning to the Latin binomial, it is thought the term impatiens comes from the word impatient, referring to the plant seed pods that burst open easily. The term glandulifera is a combination of the word glandular, meaning small gland, and fera, to bear. Together, the term translates into bearing small glands, which describes the plant's characteristic glands that produce sticky nectar. Himalayan balsam was introduced into the UK in 1839 by John Forbes Royal, a former keeper of a botanical house in the Himalaya, as an ornamental plant. So let's just recap on a few points for the need on control. Himalayan balsam is an invasive alien species which was introduced in 1839, which has become prolific. The good news is Himalayan balsam is an annual, and unlike the other invasives which are also prolific and impacting on biodiversity, such as Japanese knotweed and giant hogweed, it can be controlled and deterred by annual removal. Here are 4 reasons why we should control balsam. It outcompetes native species, causing a loss in biodiversity. That loss is further propagated by diverting pollinators away from native plants, reducing their chances of survival and reproduction. 3. It has shallow roots which undercut riverbank stability, causing erosion. And 4. The erosion contributes to the siltation of fresh water and impacts on fish populations. Okay folks, I'm stood underneath this Himalayan balsam simply to give you an idea of the scale. This plant is towering above my head, so it must be a good 7, possibly 7.5 foot high. Himalayan balsam, or Impatiens glandulifera, is an invasive plant and it rapidly takes over. The habitat that we're in today is wet habitat. If we were to swing the camera round, we have some bulrushes there and we have a large static lake directly behind. I'll do a very quick panorama. So this plant most definitely likes damp riverine banks or likes being close to water. As you can see, it has very distinctive red stems which are hollow, as we've shown earlier in the video. So you'll hear that pop like so, and that is very much a hollow stem, as you could hear. Quite a substantial stem, which would need to be the case to hold this plant up. So this is our invasive plant, Himalayan balsam. It's sometimes known as policeman's helmet, and the reason for that is if we look at the flower, we take an example here, and we turn it on its side, You can see it resembles the old tall City of London police helmets that used to be present a long time ago. So when it's turned on the side, it looks like a policeman's helmet, and hence the alternative name for Himalayan balsam. It's a very interesting little flat plant when it comes towards the end of the season, because it pops the seeds out, catapults the seeds out by way of propulsion, and we look at that separate in the video. The leaves vary in size up the stem, but very typically, as you can see, they are sharply toothed on the edges. They are pinnate, moving towards a point, and they have quite distinctive venation, as you will see. I don't know if the camera would pick that up, but the venation is curving upwards. So that is the leaves of Himalayan balsam. We've looked at the stem and we've mentioned the flower, and just to recap on the habitat, we're close to water, right next to a large pond, and the plant in itself is an invasive, being introduced to Britain some time ago, and it's one of the most popular part-time activities of wildlife trust, balsam bashing. One thing to note about the plant is once it is picked, and I've only picked this a few minutes ago, it very quickly wilts. So it's a plant that wilts quickly, and if it's bashed, it's a primary control measure. It is an invasive species, and as you can see, it has spread directly behind me by some substantial distance. So the best thing that we can do is pull it out to encourage other wildflowers. But having said that, during the course of my visit here, I've seen at least 3 bees visit the plant, and therefore it has value to pollinators in its own right. Before we embark on our journey into the field, we recap on the features and characteristics which will enable us to identify it and find it in the field. Himalayan balsam is a member of the family Balsamaceae. It is a herbaceous annual growing up to 3 to 6 foot in height, with hexagonal stems which are smooth and are often red in colour. The flowers are pink with a hooded shape. Himalayan balsam has 3 sepals. It has 5 fused petals, making a large chamber suitable for the bee pollinators. It has 5 stamens located on the top petal, and it has 1 style. It has 1 stigma, which is 5-toothed, and 1 ovary, which is 5-celled. The principal form of the leaves are lanceolate, coming to a sharp point with toothed edges. The leaf venation is arcuate, and it has 1 pink-tinged midrib. The leaves are in opposite pairs and ascend the stem at 90 degrees to each other, becoming smaller towards the top of the stem. Balsam is a plant of riparian watercourses, i.e. lakes, streams and drains, and rivers. Each plant can produce a prolific number of seed, up to 800 in a season, which can explosively catapult up to 7 metres into a watercourse and become dispersed downstream. Let us now allow the beauty of the plant to speak for itself. Well folks, that's it from me on this stalwart invader. Once again, thank you very much indeed for watching. If you have either liked or enjoyed this episode or found it interesting or educational, please like, share and subscribe to help this channel become successful. As always, all that remains to be said, in the words of Maggie, our international symbol of floral appreciation, is whatever the weather may be, go outdoors and enjoy it.